Second language attrition is the decline of second language skills, which occurs whenever the learner uses the second language to an insufficient degree, or due to the environmental changes, the language use is limited and another language is becoming the dominant one. Almost everybody who has learned a foreign language could witness the experience of forgetting the acquired language skills once the period of formal instruction is over. Therefore, scientists consider this phenomenon as a non-pathological decrease in a language that had formerly been acquired by an individual and describe it as the loss of skills in the individual over the time. So how do we prevent our brain from forgetting the language that we have just learned to a certain level? If you dedicated time this year to learning a language, now is that moment to think about how you're going to keep all that knowledge fresh in your mind. There is a saying that you'll often hear about languages: if you don't use it, you lose it. The good news is that once you have really learned something and understand it, you do not forget it. Knowledge may slip into a deeper part of your memory if you don't use it on a daily basis, but it won't just disappear. The challenge is to keep your new knowledge relevant and try to stop it falling into those murky, hard to reach parts of your memory. It may take a little effort to seek out opportunities to practice your skills, but this little effort will go a long way. When talking about maintaining the level of the language, I have to say that the methods I personally use are different for each language. Since my French is somewhere at the intermediate level, which means that I understand the vast majority of the content in this language, I basically use two differing methods in order to activate it every day. What is worth mentioning is that both of these methods are oriented toward the input and not the output. Through following these two simple methods on keeping the language fresh, you can actually improve your vocabulary and the familiarity with the language. The first one is reading in French. If you have a fairly good standard of the language that you want to practice, reading compelling materials is an excellent way of activating it. The place where I began when I started working on my French was reading the newspapers such as Le Monde. All major newspapers have websites and most of them are available online for free. While this may be a headache for advertisers, media oligarchs, and the future of journalism as a profession, it is great news for you as a language learner. However, if you want to expand your views, I will highly recommend you to join a foreign library and try something new. As a next step, I became a member of the Médiathèque at the French Institute, which allowed me to have constant access to numerous books, but also to various electronic resources written in French language. What I found to be very useful when I became a member of the French library is that you immediately have access to books that are written in French for certain levels, so you can find literature intentionally dedicated to learners that are, for instance, at B1 level, or read the masterpieces of the French literature at an adapted level, en français facile. Thus, the French Institute offers an incredible advantage to embrace the literature written in French, even though you live in a country where that language is not used on a daily basis. The second method I use for maintaining my French is watching/listening the content in French. I prefer combining these two so that I could benefit from both getting the context of the language and retaining the interest in the content. There is absolutely no doubt that more you get the understandable messages in the target language, more you will eventually acquire and preserve. That's why visual effect plays such an important role while learning a foreign language. I used to follow different YouTube channels, especially those that cover topics of my interest, be it history, language learning, life stories, or something else. Listening to the French YouTube channels on a daily basis allows me to stay up to date with speakers' pronunciation of the French words and their facial expressions while they utter certain words. An additional thing that makes it easier to understand is the use of captions and the ability to stop or even slow down the video if the speaker is talking too fast. You may find yourself focusing more on the language and words than the story, and it is a very different experience comparing to listening the content in your mother tongue, but it is certainly a great way to keep your skills going and to improve your vocabulary. Bearing in mind that we have now clarified these two methods, in order to preserve your French, all you need now is to establish your daily routine and surround yourself with the language for at least 20 minutes per day. Therefore, I encourage you to watch a short YouTube video or read for pleasure in your target language during your business break, and you won't regret it. And guys, every like and comment of this video really helps this channel grow, so if you enjoyed it, please consider doing so or providing support by subscribing to the channel, and see you soon.